music producers? It's Curtis King, CurtisKingBeats.com, and you're watching another episode of Critique My Beats. This is the show where you, the producer, submit your beats and you get critiques meant to build up your empire and not burn your building down. What does that mean? That means that basically you will never hear words like, your beat is trash, your snares sound like somebody flicking nipples. I feel like that kind of stuff is not productive and is not going to help you in the long run, so I don't provide that kind of feedback. Now, producers, if you would like to be a part of a future episode, please go to CritiqueMyBeats.com, see the 3 different options that we have available to you. I got some drum kits I throw into some of those packages, but depending on what you need right now, I hope to serve you soon. Either way, we got 3 producers that we're gonna get to. The first being Clay Walkup, or Young Orpheus, I should say. What's good, Curtis? I'm an 18-year-old rapper producer looking for some feedback on my instrumentals. I'm more of a rapper than a producer, so with that being said, I'm not really in the business of selling or licensing. I'm more so looking for some tips to improve for myself. I've got 2 pretty different beats for you. Thanks for the listen. So, you left us with 2 different beats. Let's go ahead and listen to Concrete and Distance. Young Orpheus, you left us with sort of that pseudo R&B, ambient trap, ambient hip-hop type of vibes that you're seeing in a lot of contemporary music. And let me say off top, I enjoyed the vibes of this one. This one definitely is for an artist that is more serious within their content. For someone at 18 years old, I think this is dope. I think that the only things that I have critiques about is that the first thing that stood out to me was how hypnotic those pads were. The leading pads were very hypnotic. My only issue with them is that if you're going to have sort of that hypnotic feeling, you gotta give us more things that are going to sort of spike off different sensations as a listener. With that, we need something else. And I feel like you added that towards the chorus, but there's subtle things that you can add way before the chorus even comes in. I think a string arrangement would have been nice. I think that even like a brighter pad, sort of like a slow attack pad would have been pretty nice on that. I feel like also the kick is a tone that I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of, because I feel like this called for a kick that didn't steal the show. This called for a thumpier kick, a really thin kick that just kind of like punches at it, but you don't want that to be the dominant tone within this drum loop or within this beat, and I think right now it's taking up a lot of space. The bass didn't really stand out to me initially. I would have to listen to it again to kind of see my full critique of it, but for the most part, Concrete was a solid beat that I feel like all it was missing really was some more sound design and just some more instrumentation throughout. I like the percussion that you had in the background, so you show glimpses of wanting to add more. It's just about taking that next step. Let's listen to the second beat called Distance. Hey, check you out, young Orpheus. Distance is definitely my favorite of the two if I had to choose. It's not a competition, but I want to choose, and I think Distance is amazing, especially for being an 18-year-old rapper and producer. This is definitely a treat for whoever gets to rap over this. It's wide open. It gives them enough space to work with. It evokes an emotion straight off the top. This is something that I definitely can get some really reflective vibes from. I would say first and foremost, the two things that I noticed between this one and the last one is that this one had a little bit more attention on the sound design, specifically in the intro with those sound effects. I think that producers underestimate the value of sound effects and how it sets the tone. Like almost like those soulful beats where you hear a choir sort of like clapping and kind of doing like praying to themselves. That evokes an emotion, and that's part of your sound design, is adding those sound effects when it's absolutely necessary. That guitar that you had, pristinely mixed, beautiful reverb on that. That was an excellent job of that. I'm not sure if you played that live or if that was at loop. Whatever the case may be, that was an amazing addition to this. That is something that makes somebody get like goosebumps on their back when they listen to this beat. I would say that one of my first critiques of it is that the chord and the bass, when those came together, those chord progressions with the piano plus the bass, it started to sound a bit muddy within the mix. And I think we're missing out on some of the sweetest parts of those pianos because of the way that the live bass and the piano chords clash together. I think mix-wise, they're probably fighting over the same frequency ranges. So try to do your best to separate the bass frequency of the piano so we can still hear some of the brighter, sweeter parts of that, but then also separate the bass from the high frequency so that we just get the warmth of the bass of what we really want. The chord progression on this one too was solid. I don't think this is one that you have to add a bunch of instrumentation to because you chose instruments that counted. See, producers, you don't have to always add a bunch of instruments if you just pick the ones that count. This one definitely gives you an emotion off the top, and you don't really need to add a whole lot for it to inspire a thought from a rapper or a singer, whoever gets on this. I would say the drums started to grow on me the more I listened to it, but if it was me, if this was my beat, I would want dirtier drums. I would want a drum break that just sounds like torn and tattered and just really grimy, because I feel like that will give me an even deeper emotion to work with as a writer. I feel like if I heard that, I would want to either go grimy in there, or I want to go find somebody with a crazy voice that can sing on the hook who would just go all the way in. I think that would be dope. This would be great if you ever decided to leash your beats. If you could find somebody with a rock voice to basically be on the hook of this, you could sell this as an instrumental with the hook easy, and you'll be making so much paper off of this. But either way, thank you for sharing your information. You left us with your SoundCloud, which is young_Orpheus, and your Instagram, which is /Young Orpheus, no underscore. So thank you for sharing that. Let's go to the next producer. Ty Calhoun, or Jigsum. What up, Curtis? I've been making beats for about, if y'all don't stop spelling my name with one S. Everything. I got like 500 videos. Give me my other S. I think I earned that. I'm just playing. I ain't mean to bang on you like that. What up, Curtis? I've been making beats for about 2 years, and your videos have helped a brother out tremendously. Thank you. I'm currently working with local artists in my city, but we'll be setting up my SoundCloud and website soon. Cool. So you left us with your Instagram, Twitter, and one beat called Paranormal Traptivity. Oh, I'm excited to hear this.
I have come in the name of Jesus. I have come in the fathership degree. I am a God. As Jesus said, ye are gods. I am that one, the I am that I am.
Okay, Jigsaw, Paranormal Traptivity. Super dope. I like that beat. I enjoyed it. I would say the first things I hear is that I can tell sort of what a producer's working with in terms of the quality of instrumentation or even the level of instruments that you're working with. If you're working with stock sounds or if you're working with sort of one of those VSTs that don't have as high quality sounds as like a Kontakt library. But as I'm listening to this, I think that you have great melodic ideas. And I think that this is probably an upgrade in sound away from being a beat that can definitely go off for placement, definitely go off for leasing. Don't get me wrong, somebody wants this beat right now for sure, but I feel like that's the extra notch you need to go to that next level. I feel like when you upgrade the sounds, you're gonna feel it as you're making these beats, and I think that's the most important. You may feel it right now because it's the best with what you have, but once you upgrade them sounds, mark my words, you're gonna feel like a whole new producer. I would say my first critique is that the kick sounded very hollow. And when that 808 came in, it just overpowered a lot. The 808 was actually really nicely done, but when that thing came in, it overpowered everything. It was just sort of pushing everybody frequencies left. It was sort of just pushing frequencies of other instruments left and right and saying, I'm the bass and I'm coming to take over. That's what it kind of felt like. But I felt like if you were to sidechain the kick to the 808, and basically have it to where the kick, every time the kick hits, the 808 sort of makes room for that kick, this will be a whole nother feeling that I'm getting from the kick. Because right now the kick sounds hollow. It doesn't sound like it's a high quality kick. It just sounds like a stock kick, honestly. So I think that you want to go and mess with the EQing, or maybe even layer it with a kick with a lower thump on it. Layer your kick on top of a kick with a lower thump, you're gonna get a different presence from that. My last critique on this one is that the cymbals, I feel like you place those in some odd places. And when I think of cymbals, especially for trap beats, hi-hats and cymbals are literally pushing momentum either into a clap, into a snare, or they're pushing momentum out of it. So when I'm making a beat, I try to make sure I place those cymbals not just anywhere. And it sounds like you were just placing cymbals everywhere. When I'm doing a cymbal or like an open hat, I do a boom, 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 boom. That's how I would do it. I would have the cymbal basically come up and then into the snare. That way it has a purpose for being in the loop. Sometimes you can put that open cymbal or open hat at the end of a loop. It basically takes the momentum into a kick. So I like to make sure that those cymbals have a specific place and that they're pushing the energy of the beat. That's the whole purpose of using those. And I'm sorry, it doesn't always have to be the snare. It can be into a kick. But thank you for sharing your information. Your Instagram is jig, JIGG_some. And then your Twitter is jig_Montana706. Thank you for sharing that. Let's go to the last producer of the day. Dark Knight Productions. Hey man, congrats on the baby. Thank you. First time getting my beat critiqued and looking forward to doing so often. Oh, I appreciate that. I've been producing for around a year now, but have been a musician for 14 years. Guitar and piano. I'm a 22-year-old and just graduated college majoring in criminal justice. For some reason, I did not major in anything music related. It happens to everybody who goes to college, even though it is my passion. But what are you gonna do, right? Anyways, I think this is my best beat so far. Thank you for this opportunity, bro. Dark Knight Productions. You better show yourself off as Batman today, because I'm looking forward to hearing Nighttime Ride beat. Let's listen to it. Okay, Dark Knight Productions, that last breakdown should have just been the beat. That should have been the beat. You should have gave us some of those and then gave that loop right there. That should have been the entire beat. Because what I'm listening to right now is a combination of a lot of sounds. It sounds like you want to do more, but you're doing too much too soon. You've been a musician for 14 years, and let me tell you, I had a buddy, man, one of the greatest piano players that I've ever come in contact with, and when he started making beats, he had the same issue. He's putting a bunch of different sounds together because it's almost like he knew so much about music theory. He knew about different harmonies that would work out with the beat. He just knew too much, and it made him add too much. And as I'm listening to this, it sounds like I would never know that you had 20 or 14 years of musicianship. I would never know that listening to this, not a diss. I would never know that because it sounds like a lot of pre-made loops being combined together right now, especially in the very beginning. It got really, really busy out of nowhere, and then out of nowhere, it just kind of just stopped. It was just kind of like, oh, so we're here now. I feel like that kick that came in at about 110 was definitely the kick that should have been dominating throughout this entire particular beat. Also, too, in the intro with the reverse sound, and then when that vocal came in, those are two different keys. That vocal that you had coming in is a completely different key, and I think, therefore, it's going to throw off the person who's listening to this in the initial stage. Is like, okay, let's see what this is about. Then it's like, oh, where's this going? And then when everything dropped, it just sounded like old school video game sounds. And don't trip on that. They told me the same thing about my beats when I first came in it, that I had old school video game sounds. It sounds video gamey. And I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? Well, it just sounds piano-y. You still ain't, why you gotta add a Y to everything? And that's what happened to me until I figured out it's all about taking out instruments that are not necessary, figuring out what the most special part about this beat is, and extending that. If somebody says it's not enough, that's fine. I would rather somebody say it's not enough within the beat than say it's too damn much, because too damn much looks a lot more amateurish than just adding certain instruments and really kind of feeling your way through and then saying, how can I make this instrument count? There's a lot more maturity in that than just kind of like having a bunch of instruments and then saying, I hope one of these things works together. I hope you like some of these combinations. But I feel like towards the end, that's where your true beat was. But outside of that, thank you, Dark Knight Productions, for coming through here to the Batcave called Critique My Beats and letting us hear your music. This is your YouTube. Let's go ahead and click on that and see what we get. Okay. Dark Knight. Let me be your first subscriber. That's tight. I hit my microphone. Once again, you've been watching another episode of Critique My Beats. Thank you to all the producers that joined us today. We really appreciate you submitting your beats off. Producers that have already submitted, we're going to get to you soon. Have no fear. Producers that would like to be on a future episode, you already know what to do. Go to critiquemybeats.com. Check out the options that are there available to you. Some come with drum kits. Some come with multiple beats being critiqued. Some are just one beat. So if you got one beat you want me to hear, by all means, go and invest into that package. Either way, I appreciate listening to your music. Sometimes as I'm giving you critiques and I'm talking out loud, it's helping me start to think about the things that sometimes I don't even consciously think about when I make beats. So you guys are helping me as well. Thank you so much for joining me today. Once again, it's another episode of Critique My Beats. I am Curtis King of CurtisKingBeats.com. Peace. Please subscribe to the channel below, Curtis King of CurtisKingBeats.com.